The big Stein. The big J.E. The big Benji. The people that run the world are satanic pedophiles that eat children. I've been saying this for years. Others have been saying this for decades. And what did we get? What did we get? Knowledge is a burden. It's what you find in most cases, that knowledge, true knowledge, when you understand this world, it's a burden. Because then you actually have to do something about it. It's easier to stick your head in the sand, watch your net shits and goy slop lulled into the sweet embrace of nothing. But what I've realized over the past few years is that people really, they don't actually want truth. They want comfort. Maybe that's an aspect of our fallen nature as man, to want comfort. Maybe it's a aspect of our biology, just something God created us with, you know, separate from our sin. Like, it's just, we will always look for the path of least resistance, and those of us retarded enough to not do that will ultimately be burned. In 2019, Jeffrey Epstein died. He committed suicide in his prison cell, and there was this whole big buzz about it, because everybody knew, even the normiest of normies, even the most fluoridated NPCs, everybody looked at that and said, Epstein didn't kill himself. It was like everybody. It wasn't just conspiracy tards. It wasn't just schizos like us. I shouldn't use the term schizo. It's cringe. The term schizo is cringe, but it's like, it's a good descriptor of, you know, when I say schizo, you know what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about actual schizophrenics. Like, you know what I'm talking about when I say schizo. Like, it was like everybody, like, at least in our age bracket, like Gen Z, like young millennial, like everybody was just like, yeah, oh yeah, no, like he was killed. And it's like, I thought that then, because that was my kind of that was kind of like my red pilling, you know, like Jeffrey Epstein died. I started like browsing 4chan around that time. Point being, I really started getting I guess into the world of conspiracy, you know? And it was something at first I was like very scared to talk about with anyone, even like my closest friend. I was like very scared to bring up any of this stuff to him, and I didn't for like years. And in this malaise that I was going through, this 4chan induced half-sleeping coma, you know, just going down the rabbit hole and QAnon and Pizzagate, and you know, I know that stuff happened a little earlier than 2019, but going down that rabbit hole and kind of seeing the world for what it is, and like seeing everybody say Epstein didn't kill himself, everybody acknowledging that, and then just moving on. And that's when I realized it's like, this is how it's always going to be. And we're seeing that situation be replicated now in 2026, where it's like nobody cares anymore. It's been like a month. Nobody gives a fuck anymore. This feels like the end of an arc of a comic book or something, or like I'm so soy brained I can only think of things in comic book terms. It's like Marvel. It's like Marvel when Iron Man died and Thanos, and then she did the snap, and then Thanos disappeared. Whoa! But like, it's like all this build-up, you know? Because if you've been in the conspiracy sphere, it's like all these things we've known for years. Some people have known for decades. All these things that we've been called conspiracy theorists for, that we've been laughed at for believing in, are now just laid out bare for the whole world to see. And like, I've seen a lot of people saying that, oh, this is a slap in the face of the public. It's like they're disclosing it just so they can laugh at us because they know we can't do anything, which is like, that's part of it. But like, I hope you know, if you're an NPC, if you are just learning this stuff, right? This isn't for you. They're not trying to demoralize you, okay? The system has already done its job on you. This was for people like me. This was for people who are looking for truth, who care about truth. It was for us, and it was to say that no matter what you do, no matter how many books you read or how knowledgeable you get about the machinations of this world, I just farted. No matter how knowledgeable you get about the machinations of this world, the world will forget in a week. We could tell them everything we're doing, and they would forget in a week. And I don't blame people. Trust me, I don't blame people. I'm not an elitist, I'm not superior, I'm not here looking down from my mountain on the peons, the NPCs, the normies. I'm not laughing. Probably more closer to crying. I'm not a bitch though, I don't cry. Men don't cry. No, I get it. People have jobs. People have lives. People have children. People have things to do. I get that I was just unemployed, bitchless, and had way too much time on my hands. That's how anybody ends up on 4chan. That's how anybody ends up in these spheres, right? That's why these spheres are like majority male dominated and like, you know, schizophrenic BPD women. Whenever I meet a woman that's into conspiracy theories, it's just immediately like just alarm bells ringing. Like, you either got this knowledge from a man, or you are just like the incarnation of Venus. These spaces are they're dominated by, I don't want to use I consider incel a slur, but I'm going to say incel. Like incels, people that are into conspiracy theories, I would say, you know, 30% incels, 30% like drug addicts, and then there's probably like a 3% like well-adjusted guys who are like religious, and they got into conspiracies through religion, because religion is like a, you know, it opens up your mind to the greater possibilities, you know. But I would say that they're more of the minority in the conspiracy sphere. And sometimes there's crossover between like the drug addicts and the schizos and the incels. It's like those groups often, you know, someone will be an overlap of all those groups. But I understand why we're so easy to brush off. But there is a certain cognitive dissonance that comes with being an NPC, that comes with being a normie. The desire to stay in your bubble, to believe that the world is as it seems, that the world is what you were told in school. Because every now and again I'll come across someone who's into like some dollar store conspiracy theory. Like, it's usually leftists, like communists, who like their conspiracy theories are like they're reading off the CIA website. That's what leftist conspiracy theories are. They overthrew a communist regime. Did you know? Like dollar store conspiracy theories, like, you know, or like, you know, some bullshit like whatever Candace Owens like talks about, you know, like stuff like that. That's why it's so easy to count us out, because there's like endless psyops. There's psyops within psyops, right? I believe in some crazy shit. crazy from your perspective, but I understand. Like, I believe in some crazy shit, but a lot of the stuff that I do believe in, at least I can justify it, at the very least, you know? I can use the Bible, I can use, like, you know, books of people, like, just talking about things, or like, you know, it's like, you can go out the Bible, fine, but, like, at least I can justify what I'm saying, you know? If I say this guy's a pedophile and he worships Moloch, I can explain why I think that and why I'm saying that. Because the normie, there is this misconception that the normie is stupid. No. No. There are some very intelligent normies. The normie is someone who refuses to look past the veil. That is the NPC. That is what is at the core of the normie's being. I refuse to look past the veil. And not only that, but to make themselves feel justified in their refusal to accept life and the world as it is, to accept the maybe more fantastical possibilities, or the more horrific possibilities, they will ridicule you. And in this group ridicule, the position of the normie is solidified.
As I've previously mentioned, all of this stuff is released to demoralize. I mean, literally everything that people have been learning over the last month or two has been readily available information that you could have researched for decades. The only thing stopping you was the fear of public ostracization. And yet I still see people freaking out, lamenting about how nobody's talking about the Epstein files. No. You've just been asleep. People have been talking about this for decades. So you must forgive the more astute of us for not being fazed at the things that we've been trying to tell people for years. It's easier to dogpile on the people looking for truth because it makes you feel justified consuming net shits and goy slop all day. We've been laughed at by parents, by family members, by colleagues, by friends. And it's funny how many people consider themselves anti-establishment, yet would only accept that the world is run by satanic pedophiles when you learn it from satanic pedophiles. Maybe some people are meant to be seekers and others are just meant to be. But seeing all these normies freak out over the Epstein files is like hearing a fish out of water talk about their first time seeing the sky. If you want to talk about it, let's talk about how you're going to live your life while internalizing this information. Are you going to use this revelation to actually make your life better? Or are you going to let it push you into despair? Most people will allow it to push them into despair because they are fatalistic, materialistic, they are relativists, and they are plagued by the ideological demons of the modern day. They couldn't even begin to understand the elites or why they do what they do. This is why most people will stay ignorant. Not because they're dumb, not because they're low IQ, not because they don't have the ability to understand, not because the information is being suppressed, but because of the reason they always have been. Because they want to be ignorant. Because they have an intuition that what is behind the veil is too much for them to bear. And so they would rather find solace in the vapid trappings of our world and the endless ecstasy of cyberspace. And maybe that is actually better for them. Because I don't think there is much benefit to knowing about the horrors of the world unless you are actually going to do something with that information. Whether that means fighting the evil head on, or fighting it by propagating good in the world and creating your own little bubble of heaven.